You need me to tag anything?
No, I think you got it. Thank you, though. All right, looks like we are live. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome. It is David Thomas, snarky little friend Jay Woolwine, and we're going to be doing your. Let me tag everyone. Boom. All right, pull that up. Cool. So we're going to be doing your weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, and education. So hopefully this StreamYard Wi-Fi, I don't know why it's so fuzzy, but hopefully it's hangs tight in there and I'm not too glitchy. But you have to forgive me if so. If it is, we'll just start having to pre-record these, I guess, because Facebook took away all our streaming software. They made it so difficult for people to stream. But then we'll use their streaming, but then theirs doesn't work. So whatever. Anyways, we're here for your weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, and education. So every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, my buddy Jay and I jump on here to share, just something to help you become a better version of yourself. Right? Could be personal development, could be trading mindset. Today is kind of a very applicable piece of personal development, something to help you become more productive, really, but it's called the Eisenhower Method. So we're going to dive into that here in a little bit. But before I do, next week, we will not be having a session. I'm actually going to be out of town for a team event. So if you are in the Butler, Indiana area, please come see me and my buddy Trevor. But we will not be having a Tuesday session next week. So I apologize about that. All right. So got all that out of the way. Let's hop to it. All right. The Eisenhower Method. Okay. So I would highly recommend today having a pen and paper or a pencil and paper or whatever, because you can write some things down to start this process, kind of jog your memory when you're going back through it. I mean, if you're taking notes, they say note takers are money makers, right? So here's the story that I bet you are all intimately familiar with. Okay. So you wake up in the morning, you go through your morning routine, and eventually you sit down to work. Right when you sit down, you know what you need to do. There's some kind of work you need to do. And maybe you need to, send some feedback to one of your business partners on a project you're working on. You need to answer those emails, but then you remember, oh man, I need to send in the mortgage payment on my house. And then you open your email and it's got 32 unanswered emails. And some of them are probably becoming pretty annoyed with you by now since you haven't answered those, right? Then you look out your window and what? The lawn, you see that it's long and it needs to be mowed. And all of a sudden you have 18 things in your head that are floating around on your to-do list and you don't know where to start. So what typically happens is that you're not very productive. You usually don't know where to start, so you almost do nothing, right? Or maybe you get one or two things done. So I think that story probably resonates with most people because all of us have probably experienced it one time or the other, right? But there is a tool, as we mentioned before, that can fix that problem, and it's called the Eisenhower Decision Matrix. All right, so it's Eisenhower Method. It's a tool that can help you more intelligently prioritize things. Everything you need to do within a day, or it could be a longer period of time. It could be everything that you need to do, in a month or in a year, and it's going to help you get started on those tasks and get everything done in an orderly fashion. And it looks like either I'm frozen up or Jay's frozen up. I'm not sure which one. Jay, are you there?
Here. I thought it was you, but
I don't know. On Facebook, it looks like you're frozen. It looks like I'm moving. But there you go. Looks like you're back. All right, cool. I'll pass it over to Jay.
All right. So let me hop back over to my notes. Sorry, I had moved them to try to find where David had gone to.
Okay, on your Eisenhower matrix right now, you need to put our live session because it's urgent and we need to do it right now.
That's right. All right. So, as you might have guessed, this tool, easy Everest. This Eisenhower matrix is named after Dwight D. Eisenhower. So, in addition to being the 34th president of the United States, he was also an extremely productive person. He served 2 terms as president. He introduced DAR. I don't know what that is, do you? DARPA? It's the agency that helped create the modern internet. There you go. It was originally a military application, actually, the internet, but he helped introduce that, and NASA. Contrary to those of you that believe that NASA is fake, there was no moon landing. In addition, he was the Supreme Court commander of the Allied forces during World War II. He was just a huge part in the development of everything, like at that time, right? The highway system. He was the president of Columbia University. And the secret behind him being able to get all this stuff done was, in addition to his work ethic, was basically his ability to prioritize tasks effectively. And that's what we're introducing to you, his method.
Yeah. He once said, what is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. And this is a piece of philosophy that, he carried out throughout his life. And it's the foundation of the Eisenhower matrix. So let's briefly talk about that and how it's set up. So essentially, it's a box of 4 different quadrants. All right, let me share my screen.
That was the matrix, by the way, in case you didn't get it.
Oh, nice. Oh. Perfect. Let me.
Dodging bullets is urgent and important.
It is. It definitely is.
They're like, what?
All right, there we go. There is the Eisenhower decision matrix. All right, so you take a good look. Essentially, like I said, you have 4 quadrants. You have some labels at the top and on the sides. On the top, we have 2 labels, urgent and not urgent, right? And then on the side, we have got important and not important. And each box corresponds to the combination of those 2 labels.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about those areas, right? So the things that are urgent and important are things that you should do right now, right? And again, going back to that quote, those things that are seldom both important and urgent, right? And in the case that they are, you should just do them, right? Just do them right now. And the things that are not urgent, but they are still important, you should decide what to do with them later. And I'm going to give you some examples of these in a few minutes, but or schedule them. Or essentially, you still need to do them, but they don't need to be done right this minute. And on the flip side, you have things that are urgent but not important, right? So they still need to be done fairly soon, but they're not really important to you.
Yeah. And in the case of these things, you should either delegate them, give them to someone else, like your little brother or whatever, or automate them, give them to the machines, right? And finally, we've got things that are not important and not urgent. And as you might expect, these are things that should simply just be deleted out of your life, altogether. The great thing about the Eisenhower matrix is you can use it for both macro level planning and micro level planning, as I said before, which means you can use it for planning out something for the entire month or for the single day.
All right. So let's talk about just some examples of what would go in these different quadrants, right? So let's start in the top left in the do box, which is important and urgent, right? That would be something like your grandma's house is on fire, right? And you got to save her from the fire. That's urgent and important. Or the school calls and says, hey, your kid fell off the swing set and broke their arm. You got to come get them, right? You got to do it now, right? It's important, urgent, all right? And then let's move to the right where you have the opportunity to decide, right? So it's not urgent, but it's still important. And that could be something like, getting your hair cut, right? Still got to get your hair cut. If you're Dave, you got to get it cut every 2 weeks in Atlanta. And buying groceries, right? You got to buy groceries. You got to feed the family, right? It's important, but it's not necessarily urgent. It doesn't have to be done this instant, but it might have to get done today, right? So you might have to plan around it. Or planning out what classes you're going to take, right? And not only take them, but you have to get online at a certain time to do it, because that's when nowadays, that's how you do it at college, right? You got to get your classes online. You have to sign in at a certain time, things like that. All right, now let's move to the bottom left in the delegate box, which is urgent, but not necessarily important, right? Or whichever way you want to look at that. And it's kind of tricky. So we're actually going to split this up in kind of like 2 categories, or 2 opportunities, where one would be like to delegate things, and the other one would be an opportunity where you could automate some things, right? So let's talk about delegate. That would be like I know how to change my own oil in my truck, right? But maybe it's not urgent that I do it, right? So I can delegate that to the guy at Jiffy Lube, right, to change my oil, right? Or I can hire a kid to mow my lawn or shovel the snow, right? I don't have to do those things myself. They're important that they get done, but I don't necessarily have to do it, right? And then there's also an opportunity where you can automate some things. My wife has forever, she's an accountant, right? So she still handwrites checks and sticks them in envelopes and sticks stamps on them and mails them away, right? And she finally is now automating that online, right? You can get your bills paid automatically online on the due date, right? You don't have to do that manually, right? Or wash dishes, right? If you have a dishwasher, you can have the dishes run. Mine has a timer on it. I can run it in the middle of the day when I'm gone and my solar battery is at the most charge, right? I can automate that stuff. I don't have to do it manually. And then let's drop down to the bottom right, which is delete. Those are things that are neither urgent nor important, right? It's just something you're probably wasting time on, and that would be something like scrolling through social media, right? If it's not part of your job. Or shopping. Sometimes, I know my wife just goes shopping. Right? It's like something to kill time, right? It's things that you're doing to kill time, right? And a lot of times it's even just watching TV, right? It might be your release, but it's not really urgent and it's not really important. It's just a waste of time.
Yep, absolutely. So that brings us to a good point is, think about everything that you're doing on your to-do list and ask yourself, like, why am I doing this thing? Right? Does the means and the effort and the time that it takes to do it really justify it? And decide where they go in that box. And you'll be surprised how many things you can put in the delete box. It's just, it's funny how many things that we do that actually you could be deleted. So that's it for today. Let me stop sharing the screen. Boom, there we go. Hope you got value out of that. I thought that was a really cool, way to really think about things. And it's very applicable that you can just, think, okay, which box do I put this in? And then that helps you decide when you need to do it. And it can help you stay on task and get more done. All right. We appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of that. As always, and remember, not going to be here next week, but we'll catch you the week after. All right. God bless. We'll see you later.
See you guys.